Now, in this section, we're looking at the major milestones in digital education. And generally, these are described as education 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, just as we have described similar things with Internet 1.0 or Web 1.0 and 2.0, etc. But they represent various changes that have occurred in education as a result of technology. So starting in the early 90s and 2000s, we had the introduction of computers and CDs and various aspects of the use of technology that were limited to desktop machines, and that had its impact upon the pedagogy that was used at the time. Then with Education 2.0, we generally had the integration of technology that supported learning, that changed pedagogy. So we were able to do things differently as a result of having access to technology. 1.0 was basically just the same, but with some additional technology. But with Education 2.0, we see a fundamental shift in how certain activities are being done. And we're going to explore some of those in the reading and in our discussions. Then in Education 3.0, the focus was more on enhancing learning. So not just using the technology to support learning, but really enhancing things and particularly focusing on the student, rather than it being a tool for the teacher to use to support teaching and learning, much more so being a tool that the students use to support their learning. So a student-focused approach. And there are some other aspects again that we'll explore in the readings. And then we see Education 4.0, where the focus is shifting now not on the school experience, but on the wider world and opportunities to engage students outside of the restrictions of being contained within a single campus. So virtual excursions, accessing experts from around the world. These sort of elements start reframing the educational experience again beyond what was being traditionally approached in the first three forms of educational use of technology. And we also see more and more use of data to inform decision making, and more recently, artificial intelligence for interpretation of that data, and even more recently, artificial intelligence for interacting with students and teachers and providing responses that assist in the learning process. So again, what I want you to think about is how these four stages of educational technologies have occurred and your own experiences within these. How has it impacted your own educational approach or your own teaching approaches? And are there things that are different to what is described in the four stage model? Now, the particular focus, though, is on stage 4, Education 4.0, and the redefining of education. And there is a document from the World Economic Forum that looks at Education 4.0 as a taxonomy, a framework for the future of education. So I want you to unpack this document, actually read this one, because we are going to be discussing it in more depth. I have given you a ChatGPT summary, but there are certain techniques that I want you to have a look at in this document, and we're going to use this to explore the learning activity that you're going to do for your first assignment, and how we can look at the various aptitudes in learning that are described within this document, and how technology supports these various aptitudes, and how we can map various learning activities to this taxonomy. So have a read of the document, have a go at mapping the learning activity you're thinking of doing to the taxonomy, and we'll share and discuss these in the workshop.